Hey guys, Aaron Cybertron Zhang here, and today I'm back with another episode of Road to Ranked, where I climb the L-Line Series 8 ladder and provide live commentary as I go. Today we're trying out a brand new restricted Pokemon in Zygarde. This was sent to me by a user called OdricVGC, so thank you to them. I've linked their Twitter down in the description below. And it was a really interesting team, of course because of the Zygarde, but also because it features one of my all-time favorite Pokemon in Scizor. I used Scizor a lot way back in VGC 2012 and 2013, and I think it's a little bit less viable now, but it's still a really interesting option, and this team uses a Choice Band Scizor, which is really neat. So as you can see, this team has three primary attackers in Zygarde, Thundurus, and Scizor. Zygarde and Thundurus are the Pokemon that you're going to want to Dynamax most of the time. In fact, with this Zygarde, you don't actually often have to Dynamax just because it gets so much HP anyway, especially through Power Construct. So you could, theoretically Dynamax Thundurus and Max Airstream and Max Knuckle to boost Zygarde's stats. But Zygarde's still a very good max option as well, and it has that Coil, which is really neat because if you get a Coil boost and the Weakness Policy activation, it becomes an absolute monster. So Thundurus and Zygarde are going to be like the primary sweepers. Scizor is really good for general damage, especially for priority bullet punch. And then to round out the team, you've got classic Incineroar, Tapu Fini, and Whimsicott. I really like this Fini set, and I think this kind of Fini is kind of underrated right now. As you can see, it's support oriented. It's not Calm Mind. So you still have Muddy Water just for some damage, and that's valuable, especially against the fire types like Incineroar in the format. Nature's Madness is going to be really valuable against like really bulky Pokemon, just so that you get guaranteed 50% damage onto it. Taunt's valuable just because a lot of people don't expect Taunt on Fini, and it helps against like Trick Room teams, for example. And then Heal Pulse is really valuable, especially when partnered with something like Zygarde. Heal Pulse is one of my favorite moves in VGC. I used it a lot way back in 2014, and so I think it is definitely a move that's underplayed. And this Fini, every time when people see Fini, I think they immediately just think it's going to be the Calm Mindset because that's so common, and this takes advantage of that. And then finally, you have Whimsicott. It's classic Whimsicott, but instead of Focus Sash, you have Eject Button with Switcheroo, which I really like, especially in a best of one format. Another thing to note here is that Eject Button is really strong with Switcheroo, especially when you have Protect. I feel like Protect is almost a necessity on Whimsicotts nowadays, just because of the amount of Fake Out users around. If you don't have Protect and you just get Fake Out doubled up turn one, not only do you not get Tailwind up, but then your opponent also gets a free knockout. And Protect is even more valuable when you have that Eject Button and that Switcheroo combination. So yeah, really excited to try out this team. Zygarde gets so much HP, especially if Power Construct activates and you Dynamax the Pokemon, so really curious to see how much damage we can do with it. I think part of the weakness of it is that it doesn't hit for very much unless you get a boost, whether it be from Policy or from Coil or maybe even from Thundurus' max moves, so that's something to watch out for. But yeah, today's Pokemon Day, so I hope you all had a great day. It is really crazy, like, it's been 25 years of the franchise, so question of the day, I want to know what your favorite Pokemon memory is down in the comments section below, and thanks as always for watching. If you enjoyed, please show your support by leaving a like on the video, and let's get started. By the way, to answer that question of the day, because I know I often forget to, my favorite memory is definitely from 2013, the World Championships that year. Obviously partially because that was my best run at Worlds, finishing third, but mainly because I got to see my brother actually win Worlds that year. And that was just such like a big moment for me because, my brother had come really close to winning the previous 2 years, and to see him finally take it was like super awesome. And that's part of the reason why, I got into making YouTube videos, because I initially taught my brother in the opening years, and then he just got really good at the game. So I kind of wanted to spread that, knowledge to everyone else. So I hope, you all have enjoyed the ride, and let's get started. This is a really cool first team we're up against. I'm sad to see Tapu Lele just because Scizor can't bullet punch as easily. Scizor is actually pretty interesting here, but they have Dialga, Gothitelle, Lilligant, which is really interesting because they don't have a fire type, or they don't have Torkoal or Groudon. And so, like, I wouldn't be surprised if Max Flare comes out from something, mainly Dialga, like from Flamethrower, just to set up the Sun for Lilligant potentially. But then Lele Amoonguss Togekiss. I really wonder if it's like, I don't know, I feel like there's probably some strategy I'm not expecting here, which is definitely a little bit scary. They don't have Intimidate. I can't Switcheroo necessarily super easily, so I'm not sure I want to go with that route. Zygarde seems kind of neat here. I don't know. I don't think I need Intimidate either, so I'm thinking like Zygarde, Thundurus, Scizor, Fini. One thing to note is I really don't want to get trapped in, right? Gothitelle plus Dialga I feel like is a possible combination here. I kind of like Thundurus plus Zygarde. Just pressure with damage early and then Fini Scizor in the back. I don't know, the Fini lead could actually be really good into this team now that I think about it. I'm going to lead Fini with Zygarde instead. And then have Scizor, and Thundurus is still potentially decent, because I might not Dynamax immediately. So if my opponent didn't have the Tapu Lele, I think I'd probably like try Switcheroo plus Bullet Punch. Whimsicott plus Scizor is actually a really fun lead with this team because you can just go Switcheroo Bullet Punch turn 1. And not a lot of people see that coming immediately. And if, you know, Whimsicott Scizor doesn't seem very threatening in terms of damage, so often people will be like tempted to maybe just Dynamax and try to snowball really quickly, and you can utilize that to your advantage. Okay, so it's Dialga plus Gothitelle, which honestly I'm not super surprised to see here. So I think this is where Fini is really valuable. The only question is what I want to do with Zygarde. Do I want to just Dynamax turn 1, for example? Because I do have the Misty Terrain up, right? So if you max Wormwind into Zygarde, you will do less damage. The play I'm actually most tempted to make here is to protect Zygarde, try to get them to activate a Weakness Policy, and then taunt into Gothitelle. But they could also Fake Out here. Wow, this is really interesting because I feel like we have so many options, but I'm not really sure what's best here. I also don't want to Max Quake and activate a Policy on their end. I also have Coil here, but I'm not sure how valuable that is for us. I don't mind protecting and taunting turn 1. I feel like that's pretty safe. And I feel like Fini plus Zygarde is looking pretty good for us. And they Dynamax. Okay, if they Wormwind into Zygarde, I think we're in really good shape because then the next turn I can Dynamax. You have activated my Weakness Policy. I've taunted your Gothitelle, and I can Max Quake for a ton of damage. And Heal Pulse as well, right? So, let's see. I guess the downside is I don't think my ability is going off here, but that's okay. Yeah, I mean, as much as I want to Coil here, I really don't think it was the play. I'm curious how fast Dialga is relative to our Tapu Fini here. Are they going for Fake Out? Oh, okay, they did go for Fake Out onto Fini, so... Prevents a taunt, that's okay. Oh, they have Max Hailstorm, okay. How much does that do? Well, that actually activates our abilities, so... I think we can just Max Quake and taunt Gothitelle right now. That feels pretty safe to me. I don't... The only downside is if they, The only downside is that they have Ally Switch on the Gothitelle, which I'm definitely nervous about. Wait, why are they so fast? Wait, the Zygarde is so slow relative to them. I wasn't expecting that. That's a pretty big problem, I think. I don't even, if I max here, do I even take another Hailstorm? I don't think so. Wow, the fact that they had Max Hailstorm Dialga with Life Orb is unfortunate for us using Zygarde right now. Yeah, that's like a nightmare scenario, but I think this means we have to pivot out and use Thundurus in the late game. Fini being slow here means I don't even necessarily, yeah, I think I just have to sacrifice Zygarde here, unfortunately. Which is definitely a little bit of a bummer. I'm gonna Nature's Madness here into... Yeah, I'm shocked because it looks like a Trick Room team, right? So I'm shocked they're as fast as they are. Yeah, I'll Nature's Madness here into Dialga. I have the Dynamax Thundurus at this point, and they had Ally Switch. Wow, this is a crazy team. Okay. So... I feel like against most Dialga teams, like normally Dialga should be slower than Zygarde because you're running it like in a Trick Room sense. But we just ran into a really obscure Dialga plus Gothitelle combination. And with Max Hailstorm, like that's definitely not super common on Dialga because you want Dragon Steel Ground typically. And then the fourth move is really up in the air. And with Life Orb, I would think you have Max Guard as well. So yeah, honestly really surprised there. But that's why, you know, you running something like this can give you big advantages. So unfortunately, we're going to have to play towards the Thundurus and the Scizor endgame instead. And so this highlights one of the weaknesses of Zygarde, which is just Ice-type attacks, right? I don't really like going into Thunder... Oh, I could go into Thundurus, take a Hailstorm, and then just heal myself back up. I think I'd rather go into Scizor, though, especially if you have Hailstorm. Like, I think Scizor actually should resist most of the attacks coming our way right now. This is definitely still winnable with the late game Thundurus. It's just, I did not expect this early game to play out the way it did. I'm down to U-turn here into... Yeah, U-turn and Nature's Madness double up. Wait, is Scizor faster than Fini? Let me double check that. Because if so, then it's definitely the play. But no, it's slower. U-turn plus... I just think they're going to go for an Ally Switch again. Maybe a Helping Hand. They could Helping Hand Steel Spike. I could see that happening. Oh, wow, this Gothitelle... So this is not like a Trick Room team, really. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if Trick Room was their last one. They have Max Flare. I guess that makes sense, though, because, like, I called that in the beginning of the game when I saw the, Yeah, I called that in the beginning of the game when I saw the... When I saw the, what am I trying to say? The Lilligant. But this is a crazy combination. It's probably, like, very speedy Gothitelle and Dialga with Max Hailstorm, Max Flare, Life Orb. It's probably 4 attack on the Dialga, then. Yeah, they just had such good type coverage into us here, unfortunately. So, not the best debut for Zygarde, unfortunately, but that's okay. And I think this is once again, like, the strength of running things unconventionally, because, yeah, I definitely expected just a Trick Room combo here. I mean, we can Dynamax here. It's still not over, but it's definitely going to be tough. Dynamax. Man, I don't even think Max Knuckle KOs right now. So I guess I'll Max Airstream and just Nature's Madness. And here I like doubling up into God. We've seen Fake Out, Helping Hand, Ally Switch, and probably Trick Room. Like, I think they probably still have Trick Room against, like, really fast teams, but after the hail damage came out, they knew they were faster with Dialga, which was a really big bummer, because my expectation was, like, even if you activate Weakness Policy, well, I can just Dynamax next turn, Max Quake into Dialga, KO you, and then heal with Heal Pulse as well. So Dialga actually being faster here was a bummer, and so I'm really curious on the spread that they have on that team. But this game isn't over yet. It's just a shame because I really wanted to, you know, utilize Zygarde as much as possible. And it just wasn't the best game for it here because we did get hit by, like, a random 4x super effective max move, right? I don't think Max Hailstorm is, like, super uncommon on Dialga, but it was a combination of them having it and also being faster than us. It's definitely kind of surprising. So let's say they Ally Switch again. Okay, they're not going to Ally Switch. So, like, the thing is, we'll boost Fini up here now, which means we can actually Nature's Madness, but the thing is, Fini is not going to win the game. It is only Thundurus I can win, because you're never going to win with just Nature's Madness on Tapu Fini. So it can chunk away at everything, and ideally I chip away at everything so then I can KO it with Thundurus, but it's still tricky. I'm just curious on the other attacks on Thundurus here. Or, sorry, on Dialga here. I don't know if Max Knuckle KOs that. Oh, they just go for Blizzard and double hit. Okay. I think Knuckle should KO now. Yeah, do you even have a Dragon type attack? You probably do, but it makes sense to just try to go for Blizzard. Because I think now I can self-heal Pulse and Knuckle. You can just bring in Lilligant, though. But if you bring in Lilligant, I think it actually may come down to whether or not you hit a Sleep Powder. Oh, they bring out a Mungus. Okay. Are you Koba Berry is the question. I feel like Koba's pretty likely. I have Taunt, but they haven't seen that. Yeah. I want to Knuckle here and Taunt. Knuckle Taunt into Airstream Self-Heal Pulse is what I'm thinking right now. Let's see. Oh, they actually just give me the KO. Okay, that's huge. That's why I went for Knuckle, because I have Taunt, I was like, this is pretty safe. That's actually a really big deal, because I don't know if my opponent actually has enough offense to win this game now. This Amoonguss will be rendered useless after this next turn. This could be interesting, where Nature's Madness, I think actually, if you are brought to 1 HP with Focus Sash, I think Nature's Madness will actually, you know, just pick up the KO. So I kind of wish I didn't reveal Taunt there, but that's okay. I'm just so sad, because I think Zygarde looked so good on paper here, but this is a good example of how sometimes you have to adapt accordingly, and, you know, that I couldn't commit to just Dynamaxing Zygarde after turn 1. Is that Togekiss? Huh. I don't know. I just feel like they don't have any damage now. Because, like, Thundurus just wins, right? So I like just Max Airstreaming. And I guess Nature's Madness double up onto Amoonguss. I should Taunted still, right? Because I could miss Nature's Madness, and if I get Spored onto Thundurus, I lose. Okay, they go for a double. You know what they could have gone for? Follow me with Togekiss? Oh, they're not even sashed. Yeah, I think Thundurus just pulled this comeback victory for us. Wow. The Fini was actually so good for us here, though, just to chip away at Nature's Madness consistently, and also, like, just Taunt. Having Taunt Insurance against my opponent's team was really valuable, so this is a good example of how you can, like, come back from a really poor start. And they just Fire Blast into Thundurus, but we dodge. I don't think that KOs because we're Assault Vest, but I guess maybe you crit. So I think now we can just Wild Charge and Self-Heal Pulse. We haven't even used Heal Pulse yet, but I think this is a good example of a game in which my opponent gained so much early momentum, but then they didn't have much damage otherwise, right? Like, they brought Among Us, Togekiss, and... Okay, we'll Wild Charge here. Is that enough to KO? Okay, it is. Good. I was nervous about it not picking up the KO. We take enough recoil, and even despite Heal Pulse, like, Togekiss still KOs, because I wouldn't be surprised if it were Crit Kiss. And then, like, Crit Fire Blast and Sun maybe is enough to KO. Wasn't 100% sure on that. But we end up getting the win, which is good. Because, yeah, I don't know. It looked kind of bad after turn 2, right? But the thing is, my opponent did commit 2 turns of their Dynamax just to knock out Zygarde, which was not maxed. And so in this game, it was kind of just use this bait. The fact that you even take a Life Orb Max Hailstorm and survive with as much as it did was pretty fortunate for us. And then, yeah, I think, like, my opponent, after Weakness Policy activated, my opponent did have to, like, address the threat on the field, which was that Zygarde, and so we were kind of able to use that as bait. But I really wanted to use Zygarde and just sweep through, so maybe this is the game for it. Thundurus was amazing for us there, though, so shout out to Thundurus. Okay, they definitely have Tailwind here, obviously. I have Whimsicott with Eject Button, and we are max speed on this thing, right? So we do outspeed Tornadus, which is a big deal. I kind of want to go with Whimsicott plus Scizor. Zygarde. If I'm bringing Instant, it's mainly for that Metagross. Or sorry, for the Garchomp. I don't think Instant's a good bring, especially into Kyogre. I kind of want to try Tapu Fini Zygarde and max the Zygarde. And with Whimsicott Scizor, I can, like, Switcheroo Eject, which is kind of nice. Actually, how can I not bring AV Thundurus into a matchup like this? Maybe I drop Fini then? Fini is rather defensive, but the main reason I want to bring it is for heal pulsing. But Thundurus, I guess, is not bad here either. It just doesn't do super well into, like, Metagross or Garchomp. So maybe I drop Fini. I'm going to go Whimsicott, Scizor, Thundurus, and Zygarde feels a little bit better here, I think. And the idea here is to maybe Switcheroo into the, whatever's next to Tornadus, right? So if you lead Kyogre, I can Switcheroo Bullet Punch. Ideally, they max on turn 1, but I don't think they will. I guess one of the downsides of Whimsicott plus Scizor is that sometimes because it doesn't pose, like, a huge threat, there's 2 approaches. Maybe sometimes people just want to snowball really quickly and, you know, get greedy and max to just guarantee a KO. But other times, because it doesn't put on too much offensive pressure, people might be willing to just choose to not Dynamax, you know, which also is fair. So let's see. It's going to be Metagross and Tornadus. Okay, I'm actually really happy with that because I think I can definitely just go for Switcheroo here. Either way, just removing Weakness Policy from Metagross here is a really big deal because this also sets up Zygarde for later on in the game. So I'm down to Switcheroo here in a Metagross and go for a... Are you going to Brutal Swing here? No, I could see a Tailwind. I'm down to Switcheroo and Bullet Punch into Metagross, honestly. If they Dynamax turn 1 and we get the switch out, we're in pretty good shape. Well, I guess you could Tailwind here and then taunt my Whimsicott turn 2, which is scary. So I could have tried to just hard deny Tailwind and double up onto Tornadus turn 1. Because I could see Metagross protecting in this position, but I don't know. Would you really need to protect here is the question. I think the main tricky thing for Zygarde is those Ice-type attacks, and so running into any Pokemon with any Ice-type attack is tough. And they Dynamax. Okay, that's really good for us. Nice. We take away the policy. If they go for Brutal Swing here, that'll be even funnier. Because then they would end up... I'd switch out the Metagross, and then they end up Brutal Swinging something just for a little bit of chip coming in. I think if you're in my opponent's shoes, Tailwind and just Steel Spike into Whimsicott makes sense. So then the problem is whether or not I could get a Tailwind up the next turn, because they probably have Taunt. But we do at least eject them out immediately, so that's the cool thing about Scizor. Okay, they were Weakness Policy as expected. Goodbye, Metagross. I just wanted to go for that because I think, like, it's very rare that Tornadus is just going to go for a flying type attack onto Whimsicott, so I think that's one thing I really love about this team, like the Whimsicott plus Scizor duo. No one, like, sees this coming, and it's something that, like, after it happens to you, you think you're like, oh, of course, that was so obvious, but, like, at the moment, it's, like, really easy to miss, right? The problem here is that even though we switched out my opponent's max, like, they have Kyogre in, so this is still really scary. Oh, Tornadus is going for an attack. They went for Brutal Swing. Okay, nice. That's actually a really big deal because now it means I should just get the Tailwind off before they can attack. And if I can get Tailwind off here, it's a really, really big deal. Actually, is it? Because I guess they Tailwind as well. We still go for it though, right? Tailwind and just go for Bullet Punch here onto Tornadus, yeah. Okay, we have AV Thundurus in the back, so I think Thundurus plus regular Zygarde looks really good right now. Even if we're down, okay, we just end up trading Tailwinds, but that's fine. Because my Thundurus should thrive right now. Yeah, because Thundurus should outspeed everything on their team. So I think what we do is just use Thundurus and just max Airstream next to Zygarde. They're going to Spout here, that's fine. Whimsicott actually survives with a little, which is nice for us. I think I just bring out Thundurus first. As tempting as it is, I just don't think maxing Zygarde here is the correct option because we already have chipped away on their end. So let's bring out Thundurus. I think we can just Moonblast and max Lightning here. That seems really low risk, honestly. So yeah, let's just go for that. Moonblast, Dynamax, Lightning. I want to Knuckle for an attack boost, but in this moment, like I don't want to get frozen by Kyogre, so I'd rather just try to KO that. I think that's Specs damage, but I'm not 100%. No, sorry, not Specs damage. Like Incense, but I'm not 100% sure. So yeah, I mean, it's funny because I feel like in the first 2 games, I haven't really utilized Zygarde the way I've really wanted it to with this team, but, you know, that's how sometimes it plays out. But I think in the last game, we had a pretty big deficit, but we were able to still come back, and sometimes you have to think about that. If your opponent spends 2 turns committing to knocking out something that's not Dynamaxing, that can often work in your favor. In fact, we were down 2-4 in that game, but they just had very little damage output post-Dynamax, and so you can take advantage of that sometimes. They're not going to protect or switch out, okay. So we get Moonblast off. That should KO, right? Oh, it actually doesn't. I don't mind missing the knockout there, honestly, because like Tornadus is actually pretty useless for my opponent right now. And we get the KO onto Kyogre, which is more important. So yeah, I mean, if you knock out Whimsicott, you give me a free switch into Zygarde, and then Zygarde, I can just go max Knuckle and 1,000 Arrows at this point. And that should just clean up the game for us, I think. Oh, interesting. The Air Slash Thundurus. Okay. I guess they're intentionally doing that because they want my Whimsicott to be on the field, which actually makes sense. It's a good play. But, let's see. It's not their last one. It's Urshifu, actually. Okay, I don't mind seeing that at all. 2 turns of Tailwind left. 2 turns of Tailwind left. We can Airstream. And it's Dark Urshifu, right? Yes. Okay, well, I don't think Tornadus is really a threat at all, so I'm going to max Airstream and Moonblast into Urshifu here. And then I KO Tornadus next turn. Ideally, Whimsicott goes down. They might protect Urshifu. Okay, they did. But that's fine. Like, you still take so much damage. I don't think you beat Thundurus plus Zygarde at this point. The only downside is I really want that free switch into Zygarde, and they're not giving it to me, so it was actually a good call to just, like, ignore Whimsicott. But, I don't know. I just don't think they can deal with Thundurus without a Dynamax right now, which is really tricky for them. And what I can actually do this next turn is switch the Whimsicott out and go into Zygarde and then just Airstream into Urshifu. Yeah, that's really low risk, because it's a guaranteed KO onto Urshifu. Oh, actually, they're just going to give us the free switch in, which is actually very kind of them. Because I think now I can just go for Airstream and 1,000 Arrows, and there's very little downside to that. So, yeah, like, this is what I was saying. You could Dynamax Zygarde, but it's actually a pretty strong option, like, not maxed next to AV Thundurus as well. So we get Zygarde out. Just double-checking the stats here. After an Airstream, we should outspeed the Urshifu. And then, hold on, I'm just double-checking 1,000 Arrows. Yeah, we should hit Tornadus here, so there's very little reason to I think 1,000 Arrows here and Airstream into Urshifu. Actually, has Tornadus revealed his full moveset? Because maybe we Airstream that to KO through Protect. Because they could get another Tailwind up, which is my only fear. But this thing protected, so I think it's fine. Well, maybe they go for a double. The only problem here is if you protect Tornadus and get another Tailwind up. Even if you get another Tailwind up, I don't know if you have enough damage to win at this point. Okay, they actually switch Urshifu out. That's fine. I think that's a good play, though. And let's see what they go for. Okay, they don't protect with Tornadus, so that means they shouldn't get another Tailwind up, which means that Zygarde should win the game next to Thundurus now. And I guess you could have Icy Wind on Tornadus here, but then you would activate Defiant, which wouldn't be good for them. Okay, they will Air Slash first. Oh, actually, we flinch here. That's a problem, because we didn't outspeed Tornadus. Okay, we don't flinch, though. That was kind of risky on my end. I'm not sure I like my play too much there, but yeah. Nice. That almost just KOs Metagross. Beautiful. Okay, Urshifu comes back out, and we should outspeed now with the Zygarde against both Pokemon. We know they're not Choice Scarfed on Urshifu, so 1,000 Arrows plus Superpower should just secure us the game here. So turn 1 was a really big deal, and that's one of the cool things you can do with this team. And once again, like, that's the tricky thing against playing against Whimsicott, because often, like, it's really tough to cover for just classic Sash as well as the Switcheroo variant, and a lot of times people just don't bother covering for the Switcheroo stuff. So I'll just 1,000 arrows here, and no need to risk missing. We just superpower into Urshifu. Even if you crit Sucker Punch here onto Zygarde, that's definitely not KOing. So yeah, consider that you can set yourself up for Zygarde endgames with this team, which is really cool. And Thundurus is such a good partner for the Zygarde because you can boost its attack and its speed, which I think is a really, really cool combo. So yeah, I don't think there's anything my opponent can do in this position at this point because they just don't have damage output into Zygarde. And I mean, anytime you start down in terms of your Dynamax, it's really tough. And turn 1 basically won us the game. That being said, like, you know, okay, they are going to go for Sucker Punch onto Thundurus, but yeah, it's not enough. Superpower is going to... I think this KOs Urshifu. I'm not 100% sure. Yeah. Oh, it actually survived. Is that 1 HP again? I feel like the 1 HP saga just continues. But we'll get 1,000 arrows off. Nice. And that's a double KO. Nice. So in the end, like, you can see how Zygarde was such good for cleanup here. The main thing, like, as soon as Kyogre goes down, my opponent didn't really have great Zygarde answers, right? Well, I think one thing that I really like about this team is, like, the Tapu Fini. And it's not like Tapu Fini plus Zygarde's a crazy combination, but being able to set up that Misty terrain so that the Zygarde takes less damage is really, really valuable. And so, yeah. Like, the first 2 games we've had, I haven't even really, like, used Zygarde the way I've wanted it to. Yeah, we'll see Incense. Brutal Swing, Mentorb, Classic Sash, AV Garchomp, that's pretty cool. Policy Metagross, and then Magnet Lecky. So pretty standard stuff there for the most part. That's one of the reasons I don't know. Whimsicott's probably just my favorite Prankster Tailwind user. I think having played with Tornadus a bunch, it just feels underwhelming often because it just doesn't do much past turn 1. And like with Whimsicott, like this set's fun because, you know, even if the Switcheroo like shenanigans don't work, you can still just take your opponent's items, and items are so important in VGC. Like it goes a long way. Okay, so we have another rain team here. I think we can just go with the same approach. It's really interesting seeing my opponent's team because actually, like, none of the Pokemon there are like super obvious candidates to Dynamax. Kyogre is, you know, the main one, but like on a rain team, most of those are actually Pokemon that don't want to max. But I suspect it might be Weakness Policy Kyogre with Comfey with Giga Drain. That seems pretty evident to me. So I don't mind going with the same approach here. Whimsicott, Scizor, Thundurus, and Zygarde. Instant plus Fini. Instant doesn't do anything for us here, other than Intimidate Rillaboom. And Fake Out, I guess, but no, I don't think we bring that. And it's too offensive of a matchup for Fini to come out. They just have... The fact they have Rillaboom and Alecki means that Fini is not staying on the field as long as you'd want it to. Like, Fini is really valuable against, like, bulkier stuff that can't do much damage to it, because, like, you basically win the damage trade-off. For example, something like, what am I thinking? Like, Porygon 2, for example, right? Maybe Porygon 2 is not the best example because it can heal, but... Okay, it is going to be Comfey plus Kyogre. I think I am just going to go for the eject stuff turn 1 here. Yeah, I mean, Giga Drain will go first, so you activate Policy, but then what, right? You can't really get around Switch... Unless they Giga Drain Whimsicott? Expecting Switcheroo. Wait, that actually would be a game-winning play for them. Do they do that, though? Huh. Oh, man, that actually would be... Well, it's not a... Actually, it feels like a game-winning play, because then I have to switch out into something in the back. Yeah, I mean, I'm gonna go for the Switcheroo and the Bullet Punch here into Kyogre, but... If they have the foresight to expect Eject Button here, they could actually make the Giga Drain play. So let's see, they're gonna max Kyogre. If they side... Because I don't feel like you actually have a reason to side Giga Drain right now, this turn 1. But I think this is definitely Policy Kyogre. I don't know, the problem here is... Okay, if Whimsicott just stayed in, it'd be okay. But the problem is that I have to switch something out and then just... Oh, I guess by maxing, though, you only do damage into one Pokemon. I didn't think about that. Okay, never mind. They went for the Giga Drain. Nice, nice, nice. Okay, this should honestly just win us the game on turn 1. Like, that's the thing about this team. If you pull this off, it like... Oh, does Switcheroo fail if they don't have an item? Okay, that's actually... Learned something new today. I didn't know that. Honestly, it's fine, because, like, I get a free switch in, but I honestly thought it would work even if they didn't have an item. I should have known that mechanic better. They didn't need to max there, honestly, but, yeah. Let's see. I don't know if Max Lightning KOs here. Okay, well, if I knew that turn 1, how would I played it differently? Moonblast, Bullet Punch, just KO Comfy, get that out of the way? That's really interesting. I actually learned something new today. And I should have known that before, but it is kind of an obscure interaction. Let's see, I have Tailwind. I can Max Lightning. I don't even know if Moonblast, because you can self-heal right now. Oh, wow. Okay, good mechanic lesson there. Because, yeah, honestly, for some reason I thought Switcheroo would work even if they had an item, or didn't have an item. So, yeah. It's kind of a niche scenario. It's not even that niche, actually, because if your opponent loses their item, you can't just, like, swap away, right? You know what I'm going to do here? I'm going to play towards late game Zygarde. We're already so far behind. Yeah, they go for floor healing. Because I don't think Wild Charge or Max Lightning is KOing Kyogre, and I think they're going to target Thundurus. So basically, I'm going to hope that they spend 3 turns just to deal with my Thundurus here. And use Zygarde in this endgame and try to pull off a comeback with it. Because one thing we can do with Zygarde is actually self-Moonblast to activate Weakness Policy, which I actually haven't even given much thought to until now. But that could actually be pretty cool. Yep, and they Geyser into Thundurus. Nice. Okay, good. I would think you KO us. I want a Tailwind in case Whimsicott actually somehow goes down here. Do I need a Tailwind? I feel like I do. Yeah, they have really fast stuff in the back. But I also kind of just want to knock out this thing. The problem is if they KO Whimsicott right now with the Max Hailstorm and then Tornadus comes out, I feel like we're in really bad shape. So I am going to go for Tailwind here, I think. Because I will just lose the game otherwise if they knock out Whimsicott and then Tornadus is in the back, I think. Okay, we get Fly Off. I don't think this should KO, but that's okay. We don't need a KO here. Yeah, I'm not even sure Moonblast would have finished it off there, to be honest. Okay, they went for Taunt onto Whimsicott, so that's good that I managed to get that off beforehand. And they're going to Geyser Thundurus. Okay, honestly, what I want to do now is bring in Zygarde, Max Zygarde, Self Moonblast, and then Max Quake into Kyogre. The only problem is whether or not +2 Max Quake KOs regular Kyogre. Because it's probably pretty bulky Kyogre, but I would think so. If it doesn't, then so be it. Yeah, I think that's our best play here. Today's episode is interesting, though, because we really fell in pretty big deficits. Not knowing the mechanic there obviously cost me. And if I knew that, then I definitely would have played accordingly. But turn 1, I basically wasted, and I gave up Scizor for nothing. Where I could have, Bullet Punched Comfy. So I'm going to go for the Moonblast, Dynamax this thing, and Quake into Kyogre. Because Zygarde can definitely pull the comeback right now. At +2, especially if you end up activating our ability. The only problem here is I'm not sure +2 Max Quake KOs Kyogre because it's at full health and it's probably pretty bulky because it's a Weakness Policy set. And if it doesn't KO, I think then we're in really big trouble. Because then you just Ice Beam return for a knockout, I would think. Either way, though, it's been a blast to use this team. Like, I don't think I played super well, and I definitely didn't. But we also ran into some pretty obscure scenarios, to be honest. Okay, so we'll Moonblast into Zygarde, get that Policy activation. I was Comfy Trick Rooming here. Oh, it probably is. Maybe I needed a cover for that option, but I don't know if you do enough damage to me even under Trick Room, to be honest. Oh, it doesn't KO. That's sad. Okay, that was our best bet, so I think we always go for that play, but yeah, Kyogre is actually bulky enough here to survive. Zygarde hangs on, though, hilariously enough. And they did go for Trick Room, yeah. The thing is, even if we got that knockout, even with Trick Room going up, I think it's actually still decent for us, but the problem here is that we didn't KO Kyogre. It was just too bulky. So, definitely a bummer, but, you know, we did what we could here in this match. After... Oh, I do forget that I heal back that much, actually. Is there anything we can do with this? How many turns of Tailwind are left? There's so many... 2. Yeah, it's not good. You're just gonna Floral Healing right now and Ice Beam to Zygarde, right? Ah, what a bummer. I guess I could have KO'd Comfy with Max Quake instead. But I'm not sure that was the play. I think our play is maybe to stall out their own my own Tailwind right now, get a double protect on Zygarde, but oh, poor Zygarde just hasn't been able to do much against these ice types. So I'll Moonblast Comfy and Max Guard this turn. And then go for a double, because Zygarde under Trick Room maybe can actually win for us, oddly enough. Yep, Floral Healing here. Sick duel, honestly. Comfy plus Weakness Policy Lapras. I knew this was coming. If I knocked out Comfy, then maybe Zygarde would have been better in this late game. Yeah, they Ice Beam into the Protect, okay. I think we go for a double Protect. I feel like they probably have Rillaboom in the back, which is also part of the problem for us here. Okay, Moonblast doesn't KO, unfortunately. I had no way to deny the self-Giga Drain, though, which is one of the reasons why that combo is so strong, but I should have known about the Switcheroo mechanic. Fini could have been kind of... No, I think we have the right Pokemon. We just need to execute better. Like, Tailwind plus Bullet Punch turn 1's not bad, right? Because I can just bring in Thundurus and try to sweep with Thundurus and Zygarde. The problem here is Kyogre being able to attack before us and getting super effective attacks off. Yeah, I think the play is to just go for Moonblast. Man, Kyogre's just going to be back at full HP. We do get the double, though, which makes this a little bit more interesting. So we're playing towards our outs. But yeah, Kyogre's now just back at full HP. Oh, it's such a shame Zygarde couldn't pick up that KO. Because I think if it picks up that KO, I think we're actually in really good shape to just win the game. Because they don't have any damage into Zygarde. So, I don't know. I didn't really put myself in great positions to win with Zygarde today. But I think it's a really good Pokemon. You just really don't want to have it against Pokemon with Ice-type attacks. In the second game, we were able to do that, but not so effectively. And I mean, the first game I don't feel bad about, because, like, Life Orb, Blizzard, Dialga that's fast with Gothitelle is so obscure. And so that's something that's like, you know, I'm willing to take the L on that one. But this game, I think I definitely, you know, could have done better, given that I wasted turn 1 completely, basically. They have Rillaboom in the back anyway, so you can just fake out into us now, unfortunately. So I think the main lesson here is Zygarde really needs to eliminate any Pokemon with Ice-type attacks, because that was the main problem in all of the matches here today. So we'll Moonblast, and I mean, you just fake out. Maybe I hope they mess up, and for some reason they... I can't even KO the Kyogre, though. It's so bulky. It took a +2 Max Quake. I don't know. Maybe if we get 5 hits with Scale Shot, and for some reason they didn't fake out Zygarde, there's a chance. But that's our only chance at this point. Yeah, they did go for Glide. It's a Whimsicott. Interesting. I don't know, if we crit like 5 times here, that's 1 hit. Only 2 hits. Skill Shot's kind of an interesting attack. Yeah, they're gonna Ice Beam here into Zygarde. Alright, good game. I haven't run into Comfy Kyogre before. That duel is pretty apparent, but yeah, messing up the Switcheroo mechanic was bad on turn 1. So I'm glad I at least learned that lesson, because I've actually never run into that before. It's kind of obscure. And I want to know that Kyogre spread, because this thing never fainted. It was so good. So, yeah, well done by my opponent. I really want to know what their last one was, because I do feel like Zygarde probably just one-shot everything after we stalled out Kyogre's Dynamax. If we could actually have knocked out Kyogre with that Max Quake. But like I said, I wasn't 100% sure on it. It was pretty bulky here in the end. So, if I could replay this, I know you're leading Comfy plus Kyogre, how would I play it differently? I think Scizor and Whimsicott's actually still not bad, because it buys a turn of their Dynamax. Although I don't think they needed to Dynamax from. I think they could have just Water Spouted. Like, Self-Giga Drain Water. Maybe you don't have Water Spout because your policy. I'm not sure. I mean, this game's over, so I'm just trying to think what I could have done better. I definitely don't want to lead Zygarde here because of the Kyogre threat. Incineroar and Fini don't really feel great here, especially because we know policy is likely on Kyogre, given the Comfy in the team. So I think I just needed to play turn 1 better, because after turn 1, it's really tough unless we shouldn't assume that Max Quake's going to KO Kyogre. And the thing about dealing with Comfy is that you need to knock out the Comfy teams is you need to knock out the Comfy, not the Weakness Policy user, because if you don't knock out Comfy, it's just going to heal. And it did so much healing in this game, right? Healing Kyogre all the way back to full. So, yeah. Main lesson, and, in the end we get 2 wins, 1 loss. Zygarde was fantastic in that second game. It was actually not bad for us in the first game, just as bait to kind of get my opponent to aggressively target it, but we didn't get a full Zygarde sweep, so I'm hoping we can pull that off in tomorrow's episode. That being said, despite things not going Zygarde's way in any of the games, there were still good matches, and I think it's a testament to a well-constructed team where, sure, maybe one of the primary carries isn't doing what we kind of intend for it to do, but that's okay because there are so many other strong members of this team to potentially put in weight. So While I wish, we could have just swept Zygarde in every game here, I think it definitely was really cool to be able to feature it. And Scizor was honestly fantastic for us, especially being able to eject out in multiple of those matches. So really happy to feature Scizor. The Fini set's really fun as well. Thundurus definitely carried us in that first game. So we saw a little bit of all the components of this team in this episode. And hopefully in the next one we'll be able to show like Zygarde just sweeping through, especially with Coil. It just so happened that we ran into 2 Kyogres and a Dialga with Max Hailstorm, so like every restricted Pokemon we ran into today had an Ice-type attack, which is a little bit unfortunate, but that's how it swings sometimes. And yeah, Game 3, like I said, it's not even like a matchup issue. I just didn't know that mechanic, should have known that. And I don't know, if we knock out like turn 1, if we just like Tailwind Bullet Punch KO Comfy, or even if we don't KO, it's not that bad. Because then I think we can just bring out Thundurus and then make the same fly play. Style their Dynamo. It's still tough with Zygarde. The main problem is I'm just not knocking out Kyogre in that matchup. Like Max Lightning from Thundurus is probably our best bet after Weakness Policy is over, but Fini, I don't know. I don't think Instant solves anything for us. Fini can Nature's Madness, but they have Max Lightning, which one-shots us, so I do think Max Kyogre with Weakness Policy is so good into that matchup, but I also could have played turn 1 a lot better. But it's a shame that you can't Switcheroo if they don't have an item. So that's good knowledge to know. Either way, that's going to be it for this one. Thank you so much once again, as always, for watching. Thank you to the original creator for the Zygarde team. Really interesting, and I'm looking forward to playing a couple more games with it today. Thank you to you all, as always, for watching. Leave a like if you enjoyed, and hope you had a good Pokemon day. I'll catch you all next time. All right, peace.